Good evening. And as we join together once again in the pastor study, I'd like to take a few moments and talk about a topic that is much discussed in today's world, but I'm afraid very little utilized. And that's the topic, the concept of prayer. We are enjoined many times in Scripture to pray. Prayer consists of praise, worship, intercession, as well as other aspects as well. We hear the old timers talking about prayer meetings that would last well into the early morning hours. And yet in today's world, the prayer meeting is often touted as being the least attended activity at church. I've been to a number of prayer conferences. We talked about prayer, we learned about prayer, but we did precious little praying. And I'm afraid it's something that we are paying the price for in today's church world. Many people don't pray because they feel like they're not worthy of being able to approach the throne. In the testimony of St. Teresa of Avila, she comments that at one time she got so discouraged in her life that she just quit praying. She realized she needed to pray, and as time went by, she kind of said, I need to get back into prayer. But by then she felt so unworthy that she never did, at least not for a long time. She finally realized that this was a trick of the enemy and that Satan was trying to keep her away from her prayer life, and was trying to convince her that she wasn't worthy. Her perspective to her response to that was, "You're right, I'm not worthy." And that's why God's grace reaches out to enfold me and to touch me. If I was worthy, then grace couldn't reach me. But the fact that I'm unworthy is more than enough for me. And she resumed her prayer life with, if history is to be believed, with great results. Let me suggest to you that we cannot have a relationship with the Father outside of an active and vibrant prayer life. Prayer is not just our prayer before we go to bed or our grace that we say before meals. The best definition of prayer that I've ever heard is a title of a book from a number of years ago written by a lady by the name of Rosalind Rinker. And she entitled her book, Prayer, Conversing with God. And that's really what it is, conversing with God. Sharing our needs with Him, praying for others, that's called intercession, sometimes just worshiping Him for who He is. That's what Jesus told us to do in what we know as the Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Holy is your name. Worthy is your name. That's the way He started His prayer with the Father, just simply worshiping Him. What I found is that when I spend some time worshiping, the rest of my prayer time seems to go so much better. Once I set my spirit properly, then I'm in a place where I can pray for others and pray for their needs and for my own and my own families as well. When we don't pray, we lose our relationship. It's like being in a marriage and never having a conversation with your spouse. It won't take very long before that marriage begins to fall apart. We are invited into the throne room. Paul tells us that we are to come to the throne of grace. That grace extends to invite us into the Father's presence, even though we know, like St. Teresa knew that we are not worthy in any way, shape, or form. But because we're not worthy, God's grace reaches out to us, it enfolds us, it calls us, draws us inward. And as He reaches out to us, His request, His direction to us is to approach Him in prayer and watch the results take place. I look forward to meeting you again next time in the Pastor Study.